Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to a board game video! Those of you who've watched this channel know that I absolutely adore board games. I own dozens and dozens and dozens of them, including the A Game of Thrones board game in real life. I've also done a video for the base A Game of Thrones board game digital adaptation before. There should be a link in the doobly-doo down below. But this is a video for the expansion, the A Dance with Dragons expansion, which just dropped today, or actually, by the time you guys see this video, maybe yesterday. It just went live on Steam. Again, check the links down below for information. It should be live now. There's a sale going on right now. Also, there's now a mobile version of the game as well. It's got cross-platform multiplayer as well, so you can have someone on PC, someone on the phone. Anyway, all that information down in doobly-doo. So yes, disclaimers, this is a sponsored video. Disclaimers, we're gonna have some spoilers for the Game of Thrones, Fire and Ice, etc., whatever, book/TV series in here. Let's jump in. Most of this video is going to focus on talking about the changes of the Dance with Dragons and the implications in terms of strategy that might have. We're not going to do a ton of gameplay because, well, we've got a lot of bookkeeping to take care of over here. So when you get in the digital version, you've got the expansion over here. By the way, this expansion is also a physical real-life board game expansion as well. I think the expansion for the physical version came out something like 2015 or something like that. It's been a while, which is great because it means that the various board gaming forums have a bunch of strategy available and discussion and thoughts about this game, which is quite cool. So to play it, you do have to go and tick this little box on over here. First thing, with Dance with Dragons, it is an expansion that's played with exactly 6 players. The thing is, with the Game of Thrones board game, it is at its best when you have a full player count. You can play with fewer than 6 players, the base game anyway, but it really truly does shine at its best when you have a full suite of 6 players. Now, one of the downsides to 6 players for the Game of Thrones board game is it can take a while to play. Not as much in the digital adaptation, because a lot of the bookkeeping and stuff like that is handled for you in the digital version. It goes quite a bit faster. But in the physical version especially, you know, it can take a little while. Well, the Dance with Dragons expansion shakes things up pretty dramatically, and one thing it does is that it shortens the game considerably. It literally does it by shortening the number of turns in the game from 10 to 6, but the reason that it works beautifully is the board, the placement of the players is radically different than in the base game, so you get action right away. There's not as much of a, well, we need a couple of turns to build up kind of thing. They're the same houses, but very different in a few ways. I'm going to choose House Baratheon here because I think that it highlights some of the changes pretty dramatically. So we'll just go ahead and jump in over here. And I love the way that it pans down the continent here at the start of the game. I think it really is beautiful and it's a good way to sort of set the theme on things. Okay, so the big things with this expansion, there's no real rule changes, anything like that. What it does, however, is it completely resets how the initial board placement is, as well as giving you completely different leader cards in your hand. And we'll take a look at those in a bit. So, for example, House Baratheon over here in the base game starts off, pretty much established here in the, let's call it the Southwest. Well, first of all, east is what I meant. I meant southeast, but I don't know exactly if it's all the way south. But anyway, you sort of set up over here initially. And in the base game, King's Landing is neutral, but going to be highly contested, most likely, between House Baratheon and House Lannister over here. But we've advanced in time here. This is later on in the story when the Lannisters are absolutely 100% in charge of King's Landing. So House Baratheon is currently only holding on to Storm's End and Dragonstone down here in the southwest. Okay, the east. That is not the south. Anyway. But also, we're up here by the wall. Castle Black, Carhold, the Shivering Sea, all starts under control of House Baratheon. So right away, you can see a pretty stupendous change. There's also a pretty big change in House Greyjoy. They start with a little bit of land over here, Sea Road Marches, which I don't believe they start with in the original. I might be getting some of these little placements wrong, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have this. House Greyjoy was basically just limited to the island to start off with, but they were in a good position to have a pretty explosive start. They also start here in control of the Stony Shore, and they've even got a presence all the way up to the Bay of Ice. Meanwhile, the position of House Stark, or some people online like to refer to them as House Bolton over here. Yeah, like I said, the timeline has changed a little bit. We're going to take a look at these cards in the scooch. But they've got land. I mean, they've got Winterfell all the way over here, all the way down to the Twins, all under their control. So you can see the positioning of things is radically different. There's also really every place is filled on this map. Oh, hello. I didn't realize there was a giant navy for House Greyjoy down here. I had missed that in my perusal. Wow, that's quite a bit. And House Tyrell is also like split the continent in half, right? All the way from Old Town to Kingswood. They control all that and then have a giant navy in the sea over here as well. So you can see the drama, the action is going to start immediately in this game. Let's talk about some of the leader changes. So we'll start looking at us. House Baratheon over here. The big boy is Stannis Baratheon. I do like this ability. So one of the things, these new leader cards, well, I was going to say, oh, there's some crazy stuff in them. Okay, the base game had some pretty crazy stuff in it too. It's the beauty of this game is it feels like virtually everything is overpowered, which means that everything is kind of balanced in that way. But they're all radically dramatic shifts. And one of the things, it'll be quite disorienting if you've only played, let's say you played a bunch of the vanilla Game of Thrones and you come in here, going from you really know the card pool very well to, oh my god, these are all new cards, it will feel dramatically weird and different. It'll take you a couple of games to get back warmed up, to recognize the card pool and, you know what to expect. So Stannis Baratheon here, if you're not supporting this combat, so again, I'm not going to explain the base game rules. You're going to check the other video, my original video down in the doobly-doo to explain the basic rules to the game. But yeah, Stannis here, he blows up support orders. As long as he himself is not being supported, he blows up other support orders. And it's good sort of like, people are going to be strongly disincentivized from playing support orders near you while you've got Stannis in your hand, which just by itself causes a big shift in strategy. Jon Snow over here. If you win this combat, you may decrease or increase the wildling track by 2. So we got some interesting fine control over the wildling track, which is going to tie in with Mance Raider over here. Your final combat strength is equal to the wildling threat number. Period. Now, he himself has 0 strength, which is fine, because the strength won't matter when you play Mance Raider, because when you play Mance, your strength is just the wildling number. So this is going to be a huge trump card for when the wildling number is high, and Jon Snow can help force that a little faster. In fact, you can do sort of a 1-2 combo if you're getting 2 combats in the same round, right? Combat 1, Jon Snow, Combat 2, Mance Raider. I mean, they might see the Mance Raider play coming, but on the other hand, what are they going to do about it? You're just, dumping a ton of damage on them. Or maybe, it's one of those, again, Game of Thrones board game is all about this. It's one of those, that I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that you know that I've got Mance Raider. And so instead I'm going to play Sir Davos over here. We've got Sir Axel Florin. I don't remember who this guy is. I'm guessing he's probably not a major part in the show. Maybe more of a book person, or, that's just relegated to maybe a less significant person, or they're portrayed differently in the show. Or on the other hand, it's been a long time since I've watched the show, so maybe I've just forgotten a few. So we've got some people with some basic symbols over here as well. Although I gotta say, House Stannis over here is really what we're looking at here. We've got a lot of interesting power cards. And we got Melisandre over here. After combat, you may return a house card in your discard pile to your hand. You do have to pay power equal to the combat strength of that card. That doesn't mean you can bring Mance Raider back to your hand for free, which is interesting. It was quite expensive to bring back Stannis, for example. But yeah, being able to bring Mance back for free is good. I mean, Sir Davos, it's interesting that he's got both the offense and defense symbol over here for the casualty generation and defense. Another, good flexible card, and might be a high value one to bring back. All right, so that's their card pool. Let's take a look now. Let's go back to House Stark over here. Man, that was a dark time in the show. So House Bolton, effectively. We got Roose over here, just a big pile of stats, and the extra sword over here for damage dealing. All right, Ramsay Bolton. So Ramsay interacts with Reek in a really interesting way. So with Ramsay, if Reek is in your hand, this card gains +1 combat strength and 3 swords. So you're going to want to play him when you've got Reek in your hand. So effectively, this is a strength 4 triple sword guy. He is a death machine, which I guess is really appropriate for the character. Unbelievably badass. And what's amazing to me, right? So you have Reek and Ramsay in your hand. You play Ramsay. He destroys people. And then after that, you play Reek on a combat you don't care about, a throwaway battle. Admittedly, it has to be a throwaway battle, but... or sorry, no, it doesn't have to be. When you play Reek, you get to return Ramsay to your hand no matter what. And if it's a battle you lose, you can also return Reek, because one of the things in the Game of Thrones board game is you're never going to win all of the battles, right? You have to pick and choose your battles. That's actually going to be even more true here with this scenario, this starting scenario, because your forces are spread out. I suspect the first turn, you're going to be very much choosing some territory to give away, to give up. And say, okay, well, I'm vulnerable here. I'm not going to defend here. Instead, I'll attack here. And again, we're played over 6 turns instead of 10, so it's going to be a lot faster. It's a lot, the fact that everyone starts with more land means we're going to be getting more power, getting more recruitments, getting more supply. So things are happening bigger, badder, a lot faster. And I think we do start with more troops as well, overall. So you're right in the thick of things. But you're probably still going to have to pick and choose a little bit of territory, especially with some of the people who are spread out. And again, House Baratheon, right? Got Dragonstone, Storm's End down here, and then everything else is way up at the top, back up at the wall. But maybe you can just, tank it out. It'll be tough. I mean, even, there's a full blockade. Oof, that's rough. Let's take a look at House Greyjoy over here. This is the point in the story where I don't have fun with House Greyjoy in the movies, or in the TV show. It's like, oh my god, everything is bad, everything is terrible, but the right kind of terrible. So we got Euron Crow's-Eye over here. If your opponent has a higher position on the fiefdom's influence track than you, this card gains +1 combat strength. There's really not a lot of times when you're going to be playing a 5 combat points card. I mean, in a sense, a little bit vanilla, but 5 combat strength is insanely good. Most of the time, I mean, depending on how things get played, plenty of the time you are, you're not going to be the tops on the fiefdom, and you may in fact play that a little bit more to your advantage here if you've got Euron in your hand. Victarion over here, double sword, 3. I mean, just a solid big badass. All right, Roderick the Reader. If you win this combat, you may search any Westeros deck for a card of your choice and place it on top. So we get event manipulation with Roderick. Asha here, 2 strength, defense. Sir Harris, 1 strength, sword. Back to flavor text. Carl the Maid. Carl? I don't know. If you're attacking and lose this combat, gain 3 power. Again, I'm a big fan of these sort of Joker cards that you play. Again, because it's constant mind games in these battles, right? Are you going to drop the Euron Crow's-Eye and try to go for a win in a battle? Or are you going to be playing Carl and just be like, well, no, I'm just going to take the loss over here? And your opponent doesn't know which way you're going to go on those things. You get to do incredible mind games, and gaining 3 power on a combat you're okay to throw away is really good. 3 power is a ton in this game. Aaron Dampere over here. You may pay any amount of power to increase the combat strength of this card by that much. Now, I actually have not played this card yet. I don't know what the timing of it is. I think you pay this power after all the combat cards are revealed. And if I am correct in that, I should double check the rules, but I'm pretty sure that's how this card is. Maybe there might be a fact to explain it, actually. Really, really nasty potential over here as a threat, because you just get to adapt to what other people are doing. Having more power for that would help, but hey, we've got the Maid over here to help gain extra power. House Tyrell. Mace Tyrell, just a giant beast. 4 combat strength, couple of symbols. Randall Tarley, maybe even scarier with the casualty generation of swords. Willis, all right. Sir John, okay, couple kind of vanillas. Queen of Thorns. Ignore all text abilities in your opponent's house card. Now, you have to be 100% in tune with the mind game situations to drop the Queen of Thorns over here. But this could absolutely ruin something, especially if one of those situations which would be very funny, if you get the sense that your opponent is going to do one of these throwaway plays, and it not go for a win on a combat, but play one of their cards that has really powerful text on it, and then you just shut it down with Queen of Thorns. What if you used her when someone has thought they were going to do a sweet move with Reek over here, right? Imagine you just shut down Reek's flavor text. You don't get to remove Ramsay. You don't get to bounce Reek back to your hand. you just lose the card and you lose your whole sort of combo sequence going on. But you have to be, you're going to have to get a perfect read on it. I mean, there's times to do it, right? Obviously, they're going to have played Ramsay already. You're going to play, when you play Reek, it's going to be after you've already played Ramsay. And ideally, you're probably looking to play Reek on a battle you don't care about so you can bring it back. So there is some telegraphing that happens with some of those cards. So that, you know, that sort of screams, now's the time to play the Queen of Thorns. But again, you get into your, well, I know that you know that he knows that I know kind of thing. And they're like, well, they might be playing the Queen of Thorns on me, which is a weak card. I'll just play someone, I'll just play one of my cards that doesn't have any text and win the battle. I'll just drop an Asha or something like that. Or maybe this is when I drop the big Victarion over here, right? And just absolutely obliterate the other side. This is peak Game of Thrones. Well, both the book / TV show as well as the board game, right? That kind of, I don't know. I mean, they're not really mind games. They sort of are. You have to get those soul reads on your opponents. Yeah. Paxter over here, red wine. If the embattled area is a sea area, so if you're fighting at sea, all your participating ships add an additional +1 combat strength. That is god tier. That's really, really, really strong because all your ships add more, right? So we already start with an area over here, for example, where we have 3 vessels. That's an extra +3 combat strength. I mean, obviously really strong. Giant threat. You're just keeping that in your hand so that people pretty much won't want to engage you at sea. You just have to hold on to Paxter and you're going to be in good shape. Marjorie! If you are defending your home area, or an area that contains one of your power tokens, your opponent's final combat strength is 2. Not you get +2, not they get -2. You just set their strength to 2. Now, I mean, it is conditional, right? It has to be your home area, or an area with a power token. So you might be more incentivized with House Tyrell to be quite aggressive with your power tokens, which I think thematically makes a lot of sense with Tyrell, because that's going to give you a much better position at sort of the court, right? The court intrigue areas, the throne, the sword, the crow, the court. What? So that's just called Iron Throne, and then this is just the fiefdom track. Yeah. So you're going to be playing a lot of your power tokens to maybe generate more power, to get more advantage on this, while at the same time constantly threatening with Marjorie Tyrell here, because those areas, I mean, that's better than a defense token, right? You've got the ability to drop tokens to help you defend an area, but as Tyrell, your power tokens have double value as long as you hold on to Marjorie. Once Marjorie is gone, things change up a little bit. So, I mean, the thing is, you're not really going to be playing her ever in an offensive thing, and you might not ever get a good opportunity to play her. That's the one downside if people keep dodging. On the other hand, that means they're not attacking your home territory, your power territory, until maybe she's the last card in your hand. You play her, and then, of course, you get to reshuffle. You get to pick up your hand again, and then you're okay. I like that a lot. All right, House Lannister, what do you got for me? Sir Jaime, big bucket of stats. Cool. Sir Kevin Lannister, smaller bucket of stats. Sir Ilan Payne, if you win this combat, destroy one of your opponent's footmen in any area. So this is not just a generate a casualty token. This is, because that can be mitigated in a few different ways. This is, no, I instantly kill a footman anywhere. If that area is the last unit in the area, also you remove the order token there. Absolutely manic. Obviously, you're going to want to play this fairly early in the turn sequence if you can, so that you can get double value. If not only are you killing something, but you're also removing a token. Sometimes that might not be possible. The thing is that at power 2, he's perfectly fine. You're going to want to play him in a fairly safe battle. You're going to want to play him in an area, in a battle that you are very confident you're going to win, because it would suck to lose out on his ability. So I don't think this one has as many sneaky plays, although again, you can threaten, right? If you have this in your hand, people are going to assume you're going to want to play it as early as possible, and maybe you're going to try to do other things instead. David Lannister, tiny bucket of stats. Sir Adam, if you are attacking, so again, we've got kind of a very aggressive kind of vibe over here for Lannister with this set of cards. If you're attacking, all your participating knights get an additional +1 combat strength. Now, I mean, stacking a ton of knights might be kind of expensive, although I don't know, your house Lannister, maybe you got the money for it. The thing is, attacking with a bunch of knights is often going to do pretty good high value stuff for you anyway. But yeah, he kind of encourages you. You're probably going to be specifically looking to form an army of a bunch of knights and go stomping around with that and threatening with Sir Adam again. And the nice thing about a big army of knights is it's very likely to win combat against a lot of other things, which keeps Sir Ilyn as another big threat. With both of these around, you're going to be looking to make aggressive move with your knights. Cersei, just a defensive card, really. You know, not a whole lot of value, mitigate some casualties. Sure, that's fine. Wyvern, you may spend 2 power to choose a house card in any player's discard pile. A house card. So you're taking someone else's house card and using their base combat strength and combat icons. So you don't get to use their text. But there's a lot of, I mean, as soon as someone plays their big dude, right? Their equivalent of, say, a Sir Jaime Lannister, for example, then your Wyvern all of a sudden comes online. Yeah, you got to spend 2 power. It's not free, but you have massive, massive flexibility. As soon as someone has used their big boy, that Wyvern is going to sit around. He's basically sitting here as like a level 4 with some number of like swords and things, or maybe there's some solid level 3s as well. Less weirdly, I'm going to suggest with Lannister here, House Lannister, less mind gaming games and more just kind of raw, pure strength. They're going to be playing, to me, what it feels like a fairly aggressive, militaristic game, and you're going to be dealing tons of hurt on people. This Ilyn card, this is the one to me that's like, I think this can swing the game. A good Sir Ilyn can probably wreck someone's game. It is worth noting, you don't have to use this to you don't have to target a solo footman. You can target a footman anywhere. The advantage if you hit a solo footman is that you can remove the order token there. But you can use him as a prep for a follow-up attack as well, somewhere. I think, okay, so those are the changes that I want to discuss. Apparently that took a little bit longer than, well, I wasn't just talking about the changes, we were talking about the strategic implications, because of the implications as well. In terms of placement, I don't know. Like, I was going to say, let's theorize our first turn with some of these nations, but it's not simple. I don't think as a beginner you're going to jump into this scenario immediately. I think the base game is going to be a lot better as a beginner. I think the advantage of the expansion is for people who have already played the game. I guess one of the things to say about this expansion is not one of those, oh, you have to get it because it adds some extra mechanic that you must play or else, right? The purpose of this expansion is to add variety and replayability to people who have already played the game. Because it's a completely separate scenario. So then every time you play, you know, if you've got a regular gaming group, you get to choose whether you're playing the base scenario or this expansion scenario. And neither one of them is just, you know, just better than the other, right? They're just different and variety. The one thing with this expansion, again, you do require 6 players, but the advantage is it's faster. So if you've got a full set of 6 players, you're most likely going to play this, I'm suspecting, most of the time, because the pacing should be better and the action starts right away. You don't get 1 or 2 turns of build-up before the action starts. And with a shorter game, you have no choice. You can't just sit and be passive and see what develops. You're going to have to come out swinging right out of the gates. And I really feel like the new house cards are stupendous for that. I didn't skip any, right? No, we did them all. Excellent. And I really like House Baratheon here seems really interesting to me, the way that it's starting up here. The one weakness I would feel like with the start with House Baratheon is the fact that they have little control over the sea. They've got 2 ships up in the north in the Shivering Sea, 1 over by Dragonstone, but again, they're pinned in completely by House Tyrell, and House Tyrell has Paxton. Come on, highlight, thank you, or Paxter over here. To make this battle here, they are, until Paxter gets played, they're not moving out of Dragonstone. And in fact, to a certain extent, Dragonstone may sort of be a bit of a dead end. Well, no, because you don't want to lose it. It's obviously way too valuable. It's got 6 sick amount of symbols. Wow. I guess no one can instantly necessarily... You should be able to defend over here. What does your first turn play like? I like that we have crowns in both these places. That's quite nice. Because, is there any chance we consolidate power in the north right away? How threatened are we over here? Well, we've got a knight and an infantry over here. Another knight. Oh, that's not actually adjacent. Okay, actually, we have we have a crazy amount of dudes here. Do we want to retake Winterfell right away as our first move? Because we even have adjacency from the ship here. Now, I don't remember. Is House Stark the one that eats support? No. Wait, did I not look at Walder Frey? I didn't actually look at Walder Frey. My bad. I forgot about that. I went right to Reek. Walder Frey. Any player other than your opponent who grants support to your opponent must grant that support to you instead. It's an interesting political card. It'll have some good opportunities, or at least as a threat. But it means, okay, we could do something like we could support from the sea. Right? Because this sea touches over here. We could plan some sort of aggressive move over here. I don't know if this is actually the winning play. But we could plan an aggressive move from Castle Black. We could even support from Carhold. Although, I think we might be tempted to do some consolidate power kind of actions over here. And I think a very early move might be to make the run on Winterfell. But, you know, what's the counter over there? Or do we not want to support? Oh, wow. Okay, then we do get to an interesting thing. Either we want to support the combat, in which case we're probably not planning to play Stannis, although we still could for the 4. Or we don't support at all, so that we have the option of playing Stannis in that first attack. Oh god, I don't know! Now, one of the things, the Wildling counter starts at only 2. So we've got, with Mance Raider, it's kind of a dead-ish card early on. Although we could always use it in an early throwaway for a battle we know we're going to lose. Just toss Mance, and then hope that by the time we redraw our house cards over here, the Wildling track is back up. Would we start with an early Jon Snow to raise it, to open up some possibilities with Mance? I mean, Jon Snow would just raise it from 2 to 4, which isn't that much. And then what do we do down here? We might do another Consolidate Power here. Because the ships can't actually attack land. They can support and they can raid. Ooh! But is it so obvious that we might want to Consolidate Power here that we get a raid from there? What's the order? The order is based on... Is it Game of Thrones? Oh, it's been a little bit. I'm trying to remember which one of these tracks. Yeah, Iron Throne determines turn order. Tyrell goes first before us because we're number 5 over here. Because I was gonna say, if we could do something, if we could raid here to blow up the raid in Shipbreaker Bay, then we could do this. But it's possible that House Tyrell starts the raid at sea. I don't know. See how this start. The thing is, the base game start also has all of these questions, but it feels like it's magnified here. And what's going to be interesting, the beauty of Game of Thrones, I'm going to wrap up this video in a sec, but one of the things about this board game that's really incredible is, I mean, the first time you play, it's great. The second time you play, it's great. By the time you get to the third time, it gets crazy, because if you're playing with the same people, because then the sort of brain meta changes, because you've seen how other people play, you've had those back and forths, you've had sort of uneasy alliances in the past, and I think this is one of those games that just gets better the more often you play it with the same people. On the basis that the mind games, which is the true value of this game, just get, you know, they go to a whole other level. With every time you play one of these sessions, they just go to a whole other level. And one of the nice things, again, with this expansion is if you played with other people who've had that before, or that you played with before, it sort of gets reset over here. I also think this is going to be great single player because of the pacing of the game. Like, I mostly just play single player against the AI, which is not, admittedly, the strongest way to play. You really want to play this against humans, but I like playing it against the AI. It's you know, nice way to do it. Just, you know, when I've got some free time and I feel like board gaming and my friends aren't necessarily around. And I think I'm going to enjoy the fact that it starts off much more intensely and the shortened game. One of the things, all my favorite board games do tend to take a long time to play. So having a shorter game, especially since this requires 6 players, right? If you're playing like with 4 players, you don't need to worry about shorter turns because they're just going to go a little bit faster. But with 6 players, it can take a little bit longer normally. So this ends up being a much tighter experience. And, you know, I was reading other people's thoughts about this expansion online, reviews and things like that. And most people really felt like it was a great way. Like if you've got 6 people, if you've actually got 6 people to play, you're going to want to play with this expansion because it just tightens up the game so much. So that's it. That's my overview of Dances with Dragon, or A Dance with Dragons, sorry. The new expansion for the digital version of the Game of Thrones board game. Again, the paper version of this, the physical version of this, came out a little while ago. Again, this was a sponsored video. Check the description down below for more information, as well as links to my original Game of Thrones video, plus where you can get this expansion. And, oh yeah, you can get it on mobile as well, and it has crossplay, which is really good. I have not tested the mobile version, but I do really enjoy when digital board games have a PC version and a mobile version, and that they support crossplay. There's a lot of that. This company in particular is really good about doing that sort of thing. And I like the... it's got asynchronous gameplay, I want to say as well, right? Well, so effectively like a play-by-email kind of thing. If you guys haven't been doing this during this whole pandemic, you guys have been missing out. Find these digital board games that have asynchronous multiplayer and just, you know, get your friends to jump in. And actually, this would be a great one for that. And, you know, just play. Take a week to play, you know? You come home from work, you sit down on your computer, you take your turn, you go have dinner, you go back to your computer. Oh, it's my turn again. Good. Hold on. I'm going to take 10 minutes to think about this. Okay, now I'm going to take my turn. You got your mobile version. Maybe you don't wait until you get home from work. Maybe you, of course, you know, you do it only on your lunch break. Anything else would be totes inappropriate. Or maybe you get a notification partway through your day that it's your turn coming up. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of these asynchronous board games during pandemic times, and it's fantastic. In fact, I wish we had realized this before, because I have my regular board game group. We meet every Tuesday. And even when we were meeting physically in real life every Tuesday, we still would have had an asynchronous game going on during the week. And that's what we do now. We still meet up every Tuesday for board games or D&D or all kinds of different things. But throughout the week, we play asynchronous board games. And we have not played the digital version yet of Game of Thrones, but probably should. Because this is, again, a game I have in real life. We've played it a few times. Really, really stupendously good game. Yeah, that's it. Asynchronous board games. Really good. I know this wasn't about Game of Thrones in specific with the asynchronous stuff, but it's definitely worth checking out. All right, folks. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm going to see you guys next time. Bit of ramble at the end. Bye-bye.